She's a beauty, isn't she? I left it in my workshop for a couple of days to dry because it was really wet. But as you can see, there are a lot of problems. This is one of them. And there's mold growing on the bottom. And it's actually like really fluffy. There's a lot of it. I'll see if I can do a close-up. Lovely, isn't it? I don't actually know what's the best way to deal with this, but this whole bottom is completely covered in mold and there is a lot of it. So I think I'm gonna give this a good scrub with hot water, vinegar and dish soap. And I think I just need to take this whole thing apart. This poor thing has been through a lot. I'm not sure if I'm gonna restore these or change them. It's chewed up a little bit. Looks like some sort of animal. Had a go at this. I think these are Bakelite, so early plastic. This is all plywood covered in veneer, and the inside is moldy as well. And this shelf is not removable, so that's a bit of a pain. So I've got warm water with vinegar and dish soap. I'm just gonna give it a good scrub and leave it to dry. I'm hoping that the vinegar will kill the mold, because I don't have a better idea. My god, this stinks like hell. And I'm gonna take the veneer off anyway, so it's not well attached, as you can see. You can just peel it off with your fingers. I wish I could just put this in a dishwasher. I was thinking about taking the back off, but as you can see, this is built in. I can't just pop it off. So I'll need to deal with it as it is. Looks like the sun is coming out, so I'm gonna leave it outside to dry. This needs to dry well before I do anything with it. Since it's drying and it's a bit wet, I think I might as well just take advantage of it and remove this veneer, which I need to do anyway. I think probably the fact that it was outside for I don't know how long and it was wet compromised the veneer, which I'm not complaining about because it just made it easy for me to take it off. I think I'm just giving myself a lot of extra work, but oh well, not the first time. And yes, I could have left the veneer on because it would have been easier, but I wasn't planning on taking the plywood off. Oh well, it is what it is. I cleaned it up and removed all the nails. And I think Manda wasn't very impressed. So that was incredibly stupid of me to take this plywood off. I don't know what I was expecting to find underneath, but anyhow, let's pretend that didn't happen. It will actually make it easier. To apply the veneer, I'll just use this as a template. Alright, let's cut this. But first I need to protect my eyes, because I'm a professional. And just like that, I had a new piece made for the top. This is a veneer that I used on a project a while ago and I have some left over. And I'm gonna use pieces of it for this project. I have the other piece in my bedroom, and if I like this one, I might just make it a set and keep both. I'm thinking that I'm gonna use this for the top and on these columns as well, but I'll do something different for the doors and for the sides. To apply the veneer, I use spray contact adhesive, which is super simple, and I've been doing this for a while, and this is my favorite way of applying veneer. If you're not new to my channel, you've seen me do this many times. You basically wait about 15 minutes and then apply the veneer. You clean up the edges with a sharp utility knife and some sandpaper, and that's it. I think it's gonna look pretty cool. You've been meowing your little face off outside. What's the matter, huh? Do you need attention? People miss you. Say hello. Now that I've got the top sorted, I can take care of the rest. I think I'm gonna remove these pieces to make it easier for me to work on them. I also need to take all of this off. Knowing my luck, this is glued and nailed to the bottom, but let's give it a go. That wasn't too bad. It's a good thing that I'm a professional. I would say there is a decent chance I'm going to mess this up. It's just this piece that I want to take off. I don't really want to break this, but well, too late now. Some pretty massive nails, may I add. Alright. That wasn't too bad. I'm gonna leave them for now because I'm not sure if I'm gonna use them to attach this back or just reglue it. It only stinks like vinegar. Can't smell any mold. When I was done with that, I removed that piece of trim that was attached to the door, and then to remove the damaged veneer from the doors, I just put them through my planer. And that just made it much quicker than if I wanted to sand it off. Here's my plan, and I hope it's gonna work. I've got this piece of veneer that I want to apply on this bit, and I've got contact adhesive on both. So if you used regular wood glue, this would be quite difficult, and you would need to have some sort of form or template or whatever that you would put this in and apply enough pressure to make sure it doesn't peel off. With contact adhesive, it's super simple. When I was done with that, I trimmed down the extra bits of veneer, and then I taped down the edges to make sure the veneer wouldn't peel off before it was fully cured. I'm going to reuse this piece of trim, and because it's super thin, I'm going to use a scraper to take the varnish off because I don't want to make it any thinner than it is. Alright, this is all scraped off. I'm going to give it some sanding with 180 grit sandpaper. That's all done. There's some marks from the nails I think I'm going to use oxalic acid on it and try to bleach them. And there is a bit of veneer stuck on the other side, so I'll try to remove it with my block plane. It's got a good color. I don't really need to worry about bleaching this, but I do want to get rid of these stains. These are like really rusty. I mean, like really rusty. I haven't decided if I will try to restore these or not. Don't really feel like taking them apart and making molds of these rubber bits because they're not in a great shape. So I don't know, that's a lot of work and I don't know if it's worth it. I'm gonna leave them for a day or two and see what happens. These are definitely dry by now. So this is all not attached, but I'm just trying to see what it looks like, and I must admit it seems a bit over the top, but I guess this is when I need to trust the process. As you can see, the inside isn't looking great. It doesn't smell of mold or vinegar because it's dry now. I guess I'm not a fan of simple solutions. I think I'll try to take this off. This is extremely thin. Yeah, there's too much mold. I think I just need to replace it. I'm not gonna lie, these nails are not easy to get to. I think that's the last one. The top was definitely much worse, so I think I'm gonna make a new one. And this one is decent, so I can deal with it without taking it out. I'm gonna do some sanding because all of this needs to be sanded, as well as this and all the bits on the bottom that are not looking great. And then I'll use some lacquer toner to fix the inside. As you're watching my little sanding montage, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone for watching my videos. It really means a lot, and a special shout out to the channel members. You guys are the best. And to those of you who watch my entire videos without skipping, thank you, because it actually makes a big difference. And if you'd like to support me and what I do, you can find all the links in the description. Thank you.
2,000 years later.
When I was finally done sanding, at least for the moment, I did some scraping. Not sure you can see this on camera, but this is not flush with this bit. So this is actually a piece of solid wood and this is a piece of plywood. So to make up for this difference, because I'm actually going to apply something on top of it, I'm just going to use this piece of edge banding, and that will make it flush. I'm going to cover this so it doesn't need to be perfect, but it does need to be even. And yes, in case you're wondering, this is how professionals press down the veneer, because I'm a professional. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. But I'm not gonna show you the whole thing because that would be boring. I'm just removing the varnish so I've got a better adhesion. And when I was done with the veneer, I did some more sanding because I haven't done enough. I've just sanded this whole thing by hand and it's taken forever. Now I just need to go over this with 180 and Bob's your uncle. I wasn't actually going to sand the inside of this cupboard, but as per usual I changed my mind and this just looks nicer. I also sanded the back of this bedside table off camera, and then I used my portable laser thing to engrave my logo. I'm going to use this piece of plywood that I took out of the cupboard and basically trace the shape and recreate it. To cut this shape out, you can use a bandsaw, handsaw, you can use a jigsaw, and because I've got a planch saw with a truck, it just made it super easy, so that's what I used. And now I just need to cut out these notches and Bob's your uncle. I'm just going to use this Japanese pull saw because it gives me a lot of control. Alright, I'm about to put this bottom shelf in, but I'm just going to use my touch-up marker and color this edge so it will match the final look a little better, and it's just easier to do it now. I don't really see the need of nailing this, and I don't want the nails to be visible. There's a piece of plywood missing or veneer, so I just need to replace it. It doesn't need to be pretty, but it does need to be leveled. And to make it super easy, I'm just going to apply this edge banding. It's about the same thickness. So I'm pretty much finished for today, but before I go home, I want to spray the inside with this lacquer toner, and this is in light walnut. I'll leave it to dry overnight, and when I come back to it tomorrow, I won't have to deal with the inside. But because it's really cold in the UK, I need to do it in my workshop, so I need to wear this. I sometimes find that using lacquer toner on the inside just to refresh it is the best way to do it because you get the color and protection at the same time, so it's just super simple. I'll leave it to dry overnight and I'll come back tomorrow. It stinks really bad, so I need to go. I also sprayed the top bit and I stained it, but I did it off camera. I'm gonna put the cherry veneer on the doors and on the sides. I've already done this for other parts of the bedside table and I've explained how to apply veneer, so I'm not gonna do it again, and I'm just gonna show you little bits of what I did. I also had to cut out small pieces of veneer to make space for the hinges. So the doors are veneered. I'm just going to sand this with 180 just because I'm sure there's some scratches, and then I will deal with the back. Because this is plywood and obviously the edges don't look great, I'm going to stain them. This almost looks like I had a plan, and actually I kind of did. This is a mood board that I made in Milanote, and this isn't sponsored. I just like using this, which I started doing after working with Milanote, and they don't even know that I'm telling you about this, but I just find it useful. So because this is completely free, if you want to, you can check it out. You're not risking anything. I'll put a link in the description. So because I had a plan, I knew I had to cut a few pieces of cherry veneer to put it on the sides of the bedside table in order to match the doors. And just like with any other piece of veneer that I applied in this project, this is exactly the same process, so I'm not gonna go into details. You can see what I'm doing. Maybe the only small difference was that I actually used a small piece of plywood to rest this veneer on until I was ready to actually press it down, because I wanted to make sure it was lined up properly with the top piece of trim. When I was done with the veneer, I sanded the insides of the doors and I stained them with spirit-based stain, and this is light walnut. Alright, it's time to put this whole thing together. I think I'm going to glue these, and I think I'm just gonna put a couple of screws from behind just to keep this in place, but this is just a decorative piece. I'm quite happy with this. I think the color of this cherry veneer works with some of the bits on this veneer, so I'm pretty happy with this choice. Let's get these attached first. I'm going to use some wood glue and a little bit of super glue, and the super glue will keep it in place until the wood glue dries, so I won't need to use any clamps. And this is accelerator. And if you've never used it before, it basically makes super glue cure in about 5 seconds. When I was done with that, and if you remember, there were some nails holding those pieces, but I took the nails out and I used a couple of screws instead, just to make sure that these pieces wouldn't go anywhere. I'm going to do the same thing with the top. I'll use some glue, some wood glue and some CA glue. And now I just need to make sure I put it down in the right place, otherwise I'm screwed. I'm not done with it, but I quite like it. I need to stain this piece of trim the same color as some of the other bits, otherwise it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. Alright, so these are the wheels or the casters that I've soaked in rust remover for 3 days now. So they're perfectly clean, but I'm not gonna use them. In the meantime, I stained the bottom of this bedside table because I'm a professional. After a lot of thinking, I've decided to go with these simple modern black feet because there is a lot going on already with this crazy veneer pattern, and I don't want to overdo it. Those original wheels, the rubber needed to be replaced and I couldn't find a replacement and didn't feel like making silicone molds and spending a couple of days trying to make them, because they don't really work for this anyway, and I wanted to update this and make it a bit more modern, and I think this will be perfect. I'm going to paint these because these are plated, but I want to get rid of all this gunk first. So I'm thinking about the pools because these are the original pools, and I think this is Bakelite, basically early plastic, and they have really nice brownish color. This is not a uniform color, but it's mainly brown, and I think it will go really well with the colors in the veneer. So I think I'm going to keep these. I'll just give them a good clean. I'll try alcohol. They're not in a terrible condition, but they are not clean. And obviously, because this is plastic, I don't want to use any abrasives because I'll scratch it. See what I was talking about? I don't know if you can see this, but this is not a uniform color. It's got all sorts of brown and red in it, and I think it will just blend in with the veneer really nicely. And I think this is going to be a nice way of tying it back to the original design. I'm gonna put some rubber buff on this latch thingy. I'm gonna try to clean these up without painting them. There's not a lot of brass on these because these are plated, but I'll be gentle and it might work. They do look a bit tired, so I'll give them a little bit of paint. There were those brass pin thingies that I removed, and I don't have anything like that, so I'm gonna cut these nails because the head is rounded and pretty much the same size. I'm gonna use a tiny bit of glue and some brass nails because I'm fancy AF. I don't want to deal with lacquers because it's too cold, so I'm going to use hard wax oil. I'm going to use this applicator pad, and I'm not tinting the oil because I quite like the color that it's going to give me without any additives. And if I think that I need to tint it, I'll do it after the first coat is on, because then I'll be able to actually see how all the colors go together. This is the easiest top coat you can think of. You use a microfiber cloth or this applicator pad, or you can use a brush. Just put it on, wait a little bit, and just wipe off the excess, and Bob's your uncle. This Brazilian rosewood just looks incredible with the oil on. There's just so much going on, and this grain is so in your face, but I really like it. And because there's not a lot of it on this bedside table or whatever this is, I think it just looks great. I think this cherry veneer works really well with this Brazilian rosewood, and look how well they blend in. I'm gonna take these knobs off, and I think I'm actually going to try a few different ones and take pictures just so you guys can see what this would look like with brass knobs on. I'll show you different types so you can see. And because it's so easy to change it, you can actually change it every couple of months just to make it look different. I'm going to do the inside as well because there is only stain on this, there is no lacquer or anything, so the oil will protect it. Well, I'm definitely not taking pictures outside. I just finished putting oil on and I love it. I think it's looking really cool. Now I'm just trying different pulls and knobs just to show you what you could do. You could try these. I think this looks really nice. After some thinking, I've decided that I'm gonna include these with this piece if I'm gonna sell this, but I'm going to put these brass knobs on because they just look nicer, and I think I like the contrast. And also, I like brass. Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. It looks like this latch is not particularly strong, so I've got this brass lock. I'm just gonna mount it on here, and this will solve the problem. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching and see you in the next one.